Hey everyone, we'll start in a couple of minutes, just waiting for a few more people to join in. Hey everyone, and welcome to Gupshup's webinar on bot-to-bot communication, the next frontier. My name is Sohan Maheshwar, and I lead developer relations at Gupshup. I also have with me Vinay Narayan, whose screen you see right now. So here's a very interesting webinar for us, for you all today, and we're going to talk about something that we just launched and a topic that's probably new to a lot of people, even if you're familiar with chatbots. It's something that will revolutionize the whole chatbot ecosystem and will probably change the way with how you interact with technology. We have Vinay, so Vinay will kick things off and will tell you a little bit about bot-to-bot communication and why it's going to change your life. Over to you, Vinay.
Hi everybody. So yeah, let's start off with a little about bot-to-bot communication. Let me walk you through the agenda for today. So just to highlight things up, we're going to talk about bot-to-bot communication and understand a little more about what that means. We'll understand some use cases and applications of bot-to-bot communications. We'll also talk about how bots versus APIs and how API integrations and bot integrations would be comparable. And then later, Sohan will take you through some InterBot concepts and how to get started on InterBot and show you a quick demo on how bot-to-bot communication works on the InterBot channel. So just to start off, we'll just quickly run you through the current bot ecosystem and where we are today. So we all know that bots interact with humans today all the time, and these conversational interfaces and messaging platforms are taking over, and a lot of people are using this to do a lot of their interaction with various systems, like booking cabs and ordering food, and just the whole human-computer interactivities has gone up. And to just give you some metrics on where we are today, Facebook Messenger has over 100,000 bots. This is announced yesterday at their F8 conference, and about 100,000 developers are working on these messenger bots. And around 2 million users approximately interact with chatbots regularly. So you can see that a lot of these bots are being used every day, and there are a lot of bots out there now. So the thought is really, what if these bots could talk to each other now? Just spend a minute to think about that. Like, there's so many bots out there independently working. What if these bots could talk to each other? And so when you think of it, bot-to-bot communication is something that we have to still explore. It's an aspect of bots and system integrations where there's so many new possibilities that can come out of this. And what possibilities, you may ask? So things like bots delegating tasks to different other bots. So now there could be a bot that just translates from English to Spanish and Spanish to English, or from any language to any language. And your bot is built in English, but you can just delegate this translation to another bot. And this bot translates it from a source language to a destination language and gives it back to your bot. So you're actually delegating a task to a different bot. This could be translation, this could be payment processing, this could be various other complex workflows that these bots could be doing. Something else would be like transacting and negotiating with the bots. So you have bots that talk to different marketplaces bots and shopping bots. So your bot can now talk to these other bots, transact with them, negotiate prices for certain items, understand where the availability of certain items are, and then get you back their information. And this is all bots talking to each other, so there's no human involved in this whole process. Um, Another scenario would be bots playing games with each other, things like poker and blackjack, where bots employ different strategies to to play aggressively or play timidly, or depending on how they want to go about the game. So there are multiplayer bots, and these games could like get over in seconds, and so each user could develop their own strategy for their bots and deploy these bots on various channels where these bots play games together. And things like upgrading themselves, leveraging capabilities of other bots. So how I'd like to think about it is something like a super bot, where a travel bot now only that gives you information on flights could add a bot that gives you the weather for your destination, could give you the currency for that destination, could give you, for example, the time zone that the destination is in. So your travel bot essentially that just gave you flights now is sort of upgraded itself to give you more than what it usually would do by just connecting bots and just talking to other bots. And you can just think of these more visually in the how we've represented on the slide, is bots being chained to each other to create powerful bots, and bots talking to each other in terms of like in a marketplace or trading exchanges. Also, another thing is how bots can test and monitor and fix and manage other bots. And so what this really means is a bot could have a sub bot that performs certain functions, and this can probably be used in a scenario where a bot has to just test whether a bot is alive, or a heartbeat bot, and just maybe see if any bugs are there in the bot and get fixed. A bot library is a utility of bots. They can provide common features. So one bot could comprise of very small utilities once these bots start interacting. Customer-facing brand bot is a very classic example where there could be one single bot for an enterprise company, while the sub bots or the brand bots for that for that company could be the individual bots in various other locations. But the company has just one bot on its messenger platform, so the company doesn't have to probably release other bots on the messenger platform. So that's one example of how probably bot-to-bot communication can be deployed. And lastly, bot hierarchies in organizations where, like I just mentioned, performing certain complex workflows like doing payment transactions or translations. So there are multiple use cases where bot-to-bot communication can really be useful. And to think of how these could be translated to real-life applications, you can think of something like a personal assistant or concierge that simplify life by doing various tasks for you. Your Uber bot, like it says, can talk to your Starbucks bot to keep your coffee ready. It knows your location. It knows how far you are from your Starbucks. That communication can help you keep your coffee ready right in time for you to get it. IoT example would be a smart fridge bot that can talk to an Amazon bot to order stuff that's missing from your fridge, like milk and eggs, for example. Bots that facilitate transactions while keeping counterparties private or anonymous. So you don't need to know about some transactions, and these can facilitate automatically without any human intervention. I gave you the example of a language translation bot, where your bot, you can continue to chat with your bot in your native language, and any other translation that happens to a bot that does the translation that's connected to your bot. Also, customer-facing single enterprise bot that communicates with subsidiary bots, like I mentioned. So As you can see, there are a lot of examples and applications where we see bot-to-bot communication very prevalent and something that can be really explored and lot of potential. And so we wanted to talk about, just quickly go over something called bot integrations or not API integrations. And what this really means is that how bot-to-bot communication has some advantages over API integrations between systems. So bot-to-bot communication does not require any coding skills. You just build your bot and you can connect your bot to the other bot using the InterBot chat, while APIs do require some coding skills. Bots are flexible and fault-tolerant, meaning they can understand, they can revamp themselves to understand a failure scenario and provide alternative scenarios, while APIs are not that smart. Bots are asynchronous, so they don't have to always be waiting for a response, and they can wait for a response that comes at a later stage and then perform any further transactions, while APIs are synchronous. Again, bots are involve bidirectional messaging, so they can communicate and send request responses all together, while APIs just unidirectional. So you have to write for one response and write for one request. So now that we've gone over bot-to-bot communication, I'll hand it over to Sohan, who will talk to you more about the InterBot communication channel that we're going to talk about today.
Hey, thanks, Vinay. That was awesome. Let me just make myself the presenter. Yep. Okay, so thanks so much, Vinay. For the listener, I think yes, this is a very new concept, something that we have just launched, and people are just started talking about this concept of bot-to-bot communication. We have deliberately kind of kept it at a very high level, like a sort of 101 about bot-to-bot communication and how it will change your life. Maybe in the future we'll do a little more deep dive as to how some of these things work. Now, Vinay has spoken about the concept of bot-to-bot communication and what are some of the possibilities, and I'm sure we haven't even scratched the surface there, but some of the possibilities of bot-to-bot communication. I'm going to talk a little bit about a platform or other communication channel that we at GupShop have launched called InterBot, as you see on screen. Essentially, it's a messaging channel for bots to communicate with other bots. Right, and Vinay did draw a parallel between bots and APIs, so think of it as something like a HTTP or REST sort of protocol that allows bots to communicate with other bots. Right, so it's pretty simple actually. It essentially enables bots to interact with each other. The good thing is bots, they can speak to each other, they can exchange information, they can ask each other questions, and much more. For developers and for bot makers, this is pretty exciting opportunity as well, and there are a couple of reasons why. For starters, developers can actually publish bots that other bots can use. Again, we're drawing like an analogy to APIs here, how you would have like an API that other developers can use, and either you do it for like a community or for your systems to be used, or even for a monetary sort of purpose. Similarly here, developers can actually create bots and publish it to the InterBot channel, and then other developers can use that, right? Which leads me to the second point, which is essentially bot makers can create new bots using the functionality of existing bots. So say you have like two bots that have like two different functionalities. An enterprising bot maker can just kind of add those two functionalities and create like a new bot, right? And there are a lot of sort of options and a lot of opportunities here for developers. I mean, for instance, if you say have a shopping bot, you can put it out on the InterBot channel, and other e-commerce sites or brands can maybe use your bot to really enhance the functionalities of their bots. Right? So really with InterBots, I mean, bots can work with other bots to really create this ecosystem of really smart and powerful bots. So there are primarily three different things that you can do on InterBot, right? And these are the three different InterBot concepts. I'll show you demos of each of them. The first one is and we have defined each of them. So the first one is called consume, where essentially you can consume any bot that's already been created. You can consume it as a singular bot itself. For example, if there's a weather bot, you can consume it as a weather bot itself. And there are tons of bots out there right now. We'd love to, see you as developers actually publish bots to the bots. So we have like a bot directory as well. So if you want to be published onto the InterBot channel, do let us know. The second one is, like I said, is publish. I was just talking about it. Right now, it's an open system, so anyone is pretty much free to publish any bots onto the bot store. onto InterBot, and other developers can also use your bot and use the data from your bot to enhance their own. And the third one is basically Compose, where you're actually chaining the functionality of multiple bots to create a new bot. Of course, once you publish the new bot, someone can use that to create like another different bot with enhanced functionality. So these are some of the operators that we use to achieve some of these things. So the first one is the @ operator, the @ sign, which is a dereference operator. This operator is essentially used to dereference a bot. So as an example, if you want to refer like to a bot with a bot name, say ABC, you say @ ABC, where ABC is the name of the bot. We have another operator which is equal to sign, and the operator name is the assign operator. And essentially, when you want to create a new bot and you want to compose a composite bot, that's the symbol you use. And then you have the pipe symbol, and the operator name for that is IO. And this is essentially an input-output operator, which is used to concatenate bots serially. Right? So if you want to combine the functionalities of X, Y, and Z, you put a pipe in between and create it. And again, I'll show you a demo of this so that it becomes clearer to you. Right. So essentially, like I said, to get started, you would say @ new bot, where you're referring to new bot as a bot that is going to be created, and you will refer to @ bot1 and the IO sign, which is the pipe sign, @ bot2. So essentially, what's happening is the output of bot1 is being fed to bot2, and bot2's output will be what you eventually see, right? So essentially, this sort of bot composition kind of substitutes bot development. And developers will start building utility bots that kind of provide component capabilities to other bots. And the great part, like an API, right? If you it is like an API where developers of the individual bots don't really need to coordinate their development, but at the same time it's not as rigid as an API. It's very flexible since it's conversation based, so other bots and other developers can really consume your content without the sort of rigidity that's attached to an API. Or even people who really don't know or aren't too familiar with coding can still use something like an InterBot to enhance the functionality of their existing bot. So I'll show you a quick demo now. Hopefully you can see my screen. Okay then. Okay, I hope everyone's able to see my browser window. Yep, I think, yeah, okay. People are. So essentially, this is the web page. It's interbot.cc, and essentially, you can see here. So let's click on the Get Started button. I'll take you through Compose, Publish, and Consume, Publish, and then Compose individually, and then give you an example. So here's where all the bots that have that you can consume already here. Pretty straightforward stuff. So for example, there's an iPhone price compare bot, right? Essentially, you can say something like iPhone 7, and essentially what it's doing is it's speaking to 3 different bots which ping 3 different shopping websites and give you the price for an iPhone, and it's kind of concatenating all of it to show you the results of the iPhone. So as you can see here, you can see the price of an iPhone 7 from different shops varies from $669 to $649. So you can really take a call which one you want to buy. There is a new search, I can say something like Uber, and it would tell me the latest news on Uber. This is powered by Bing, Microsoft Bing. There you go. And there's rather simple ones like time zone. You can type like a city name, like say Mumbai, and get the current time in that city. Okay. Right, and this is how the sort of the bot works. I mean, you can see here, it's right here also there is bot-to-bot communication that's happening, and I'll show it to you in a little more detail. So for publish, we have an API that you can see in this tab right here. You can, once you have a bot, you can actually publish it, and then other people can consume that particular bot. Here's the API for the publish bot. Let me just go back. And now we'll show you how you can really compose and create like a new sort of bot using the InterBot channel, right? So I'm going back to the consume section, and we'll use two things, right? So let's use the time check bot, which I already showed you an example, and the country capital bot, right? So I can just say the name of a country and it would give me the capital. So now we can actually create a bot that will tell you the time in the capital of a country of your choice. So let's do that. So just wait for it to load. Yeah, so this essentially is a compose screen. There's a terminal screen that you see here. I spoke to you earlier about the operators that you can use. So I can say webinar demo. So this is the new bot that I'm creating, and I can use that to refer to previous bots that I've created. For example, I can say, okay, country capital, right? And I use the pipe. This means that the output of the country capital will be the input for the other bot I specify now, which is time zone. Right, so essentially we are creating a bot named webinar demo, which gets the, as input takes the name of a country, gets the capital, passes the capital to the time zone bot, which actually will give you the time in that city, right? And all I do is hit enter, and it composes a new bot for you right here. And the great thing is you can test it right in this menu right here, right? So you can see this here. So I can just give the name of a country, like say Italy, right? And it would give me the time in the capital of Italy. Yeah, the time in Rome is 6:22. So you can click on the view thread button. It essentially tells you the thread and as to how it works. So, basically this bot that's just created, webinar demo, speaks to country capital and forwards the word Italy. Country capital obviously replies that Rome is the capital. And Rome is then forwarded to the time zone bot, and the time zone bot returns the time in Rome. So this is something rather straightforward. So we can also, for example, use translation. When I earlier gave you a good example of translation. So we have a weather bot and we have a translation bot that translates English to Spanish. So maybe you want to see a weather update in Spanish. We can actually combine the two into one. Right. So let me say webinar demo 1 equal to weather router, which is the weather bot, and I want to read the weather in Spanish, right? So I say English to Spanish bot. Okay, and you shall see it here soon. Yep, there you go. So I can type any city, like let me say Madrid, right? And it would give me the weather in Spanish. Yeah, there you go. As you can see, there's the weather that's returned in Spanish. Basically, the new bot sends it to weather router, which returns the weather in, in JSON. That actually sends it internally to another bot called weather formatter, which formats it, sends it back, then sends it back to the translation English to Spanish bot, which finally translates it. And there's no limit to how many bots that you can actually like sort of daisy chain. You can even do, you can even daisy chain like say 3 bots. I'll show you a quick example again. Say webinar demo 3, okay, 2. Okay, so we have like a whole bunch of bots here, so let's maybe try something cool. So we have few Bing bots that we can actually use, Microsoft Bing, and let me just quickly, yeah. So we have the Bing OKG bot, which is their open knowledge graph, which can answer questions, and I can say Bing News, which essentially gives me news on any topic that I add, and I can actually add the sentiment analysis bot, which is again powered by Bing. So essentially, what this does is I'm going to ask it a question. It'll give me the answer. I'll get the latest news article about whoever it answers about, and then get the sentiment behind that news article. Right? Let me just run that for you. Right. So I'm going to say something like, "Who is the CEO of Snapchat?" Okay. So the first bot, which is the open knowledge graph, is going to give the answer. Then I'm going to get the latest news article about the CEO of Snapchat, and then the sentiment behind the article. As you can see, it says the story is very positive, right? And you can see the thread here. It goes from who's the CEO of Snapchat to even Spiegel to the latest article, which is from Time. And then the story is pretty positive according to their sentiment analysis. So that's what it returns. Right. So as you can see, there are a lot of sort of things that you can actually do. Again, like I said, there's no real limit as to how many bots you can chain one behind the other. And I'm sure you can create like really cool bots. There are already actually a few companies that have started that have approached us and are soon going to have their bots on IBC. People have also created like hotel booking bots and fashion store bots or like a brand bot that other brands can use, and they're going to be on the IBC channel pretty soon. So yeah, that was it for the demo. If you have questions, feel free to shoot. Also, if you want to be on the as part of a bot on InterBot, do write to us, and we'd love to have your chatbot listed there as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, please go ahead. I think we've got a couple of questions now. Yeah, okay. So David's asked, are there any real life examples of bot-to-bot communication? Yeah, David, good question. So like I said, it's pretty early days in the community right now, and for this technology, not too many people have implemented it. It's something that you're seeing like few articles right now here and there. We are one of the first to market. There are actually a couple of examples that I can talk about. One, for instance, is something that we had developed a while ago, which is called the Gupshup proxy bot. Right? Essentially, it is a bot that we use for our testing. Now, if you were to build a Facebook chatbot from scratch, essentially you'll have to actually publish your bot or to the Facebook Messenger for you to test it out, which is a fairly long process, right? So you want to do something much quicker, just to be like really quick and iterative and agile. So we have this thing called the proxy bot, where if you create a bot on Gupshup, say the bot's name is webinar test, like I just did, you can just go to like say Facebook Messenger, look for the Gupshup proxy bot and say proxy webinar test, and then the proxy bot acts like the bot that you've just created. And the great thing is this bot actually exists on on Facebook Messenger, on Slack, on Skype, and a whole bunch of different channels. So that is an early sort of example of bot-to-bot communication. I've also seen few bots that act as independent bots, but they have like a small sort of installation thing which kind of allow for bot-to-bot communication. I think Velo is a good example of something like that. So yeah, you are seeing like a lot of bots that are embracing this particular thing. Okay, so Gopinath's asking a question saying, can I override or append new bot to existing compose bot? You can definitely append functionalities to compose bots. I mean, right now in the way the system is, the output of one bot is the input of the next. It's a very serial sort of way of processing it. If you think that is a bot in that doesn't do enough, you can always just write and enhance the functionality of an existing bot, put it out on the store so that other developers can also use. So yeah, you'd be free to do it. Okay, there are other questions coming in as well. Okay, so Ruhan's asking a question saying, so if a company makes a bot and integrates most of the other bots, then what's the difference? Well, Ruhan, it's think of it as an API. For instance, Google Maps has an API that a lot of people can use. A lot of people use Google Maps, but when you're using say Ola or Uber or Yelp, they still also use Google Maps through an API or an SDK, right? So Google Maps is everywhere thanks to that, and also I'm sure it's monetarily also very viable for Google, so because they charge per API call. So that's probably where the system will go to eventually. If you, say you create a bot for like that simplifies e-commerce, right? A lot of brands are going to come to you and say, you know what, we actually don't want to create our own bot, and it's too much of a pain. We can just use your bot to enhance the functionality of our brand bot, right? So that's where it's really going to go. And there are a whole bunch of other, advantages as well. And I think Vinay has spoken to about some of them. Okay, so we're having some questions. I'll assign some of them to Vinay as well. Yeah, Vinay, you have a couple of questions coming your way.
Okay, I'm trying to have a look at those.
Okay, so I'll just take a quick question before Vinay gets his thoughts together. A question for Marka: how to integrate these bots in my own WordPress website? So essentially, Arka, InterBot is I think separate, but if you want to create a bot and have it show up on your website, you can create a bot on Gupshup. We have done earlier webinars, but and we have a ton of documentation as well. But you can check it out. Look for this option called Web Widget. Essentially, you create a bot on Gupshup and you publish it to a web widget, so that you will get like a JavaScript code. You can paste that JavaScript code onto any website, and the bot would be live there.
All right. So I think Parth had a question. I think the question says, like, can I have multiple bots communicate with each other? So yeah, I mean that's the essence of what InterBot channel. You can publish multiple bots on InterBot channel, each of them doing separate functionality, and you can chain them on the channel. And soon on the Gupshup platform, any bot that you publish on Gupshup will gets enabled on the InterBot channel. So we're just making it easy for you to build your bots and then chain them together on the InterBot channel. Any other questions on?
Yeah, I just assigned a couple of questions to you.
Okay. I think I'm having some trouble scrolling through those questions. That's why I'm not seeing them.
Oh, okay. So here's a question by Ankit. No, sorry, by Sai Prasad, and he says, "What is the maximum number of simultaneous queries a bot can handle?"
Okay, so we haven't tested what the maximum number of simultaneous queries are, but I guess what you may be trying to ask is how many queries at the moment can a bot take on the channel. So I think maybe you can test it out and let us know, because we have tested like about 5 to 6 simultaneous queries while we were building the channel, asking multiple bots, routing the query through about 3 pings and back, and so it was working fine. So I guess it should be good to go for as many queries as you can fire.
Yeah. Yep, exactly what Vinay said. Akshan has this question which says, "Will privacy be an issue while communicating?" So there are two parts to your question, I think. One specifically about chatbots and one specifically about InterBot. I'll take the bit about chatbots first. I think chatbots are far more secure than apps and websites, because there is an assumption that the user is already authenticated when you're using, say, a Facebook Messenger or a Slack, right? And beyond that, these platforms also have gone the extra distance to make sure that you have privacy while entering, like say sensitive information, like say credit card numbers. There would be a web view that pops up and something like that that actually masks your contact details. In terms of InterBot, I think again, I'm going back to an API. You're not going to expose stuff that is uh, not supposed to be exposed, right? As when you're putting it onto InterBot, you'd like to expose only the stuff that is shareable, similar to what you would do an API. Or if you were writing like code, how we would similarly add like a private function and a public function. Uh, Only you can access a private function, whereas public functions will be accessible by other files. So I think that's the sort of paradigm that you would see when the whole bot-to-bot communication really takes off. Okay, interesting question by Vince. And he says, "How do you see payment working? Seems like you need a micropayment system behind this." Yeah, great question, Vince. I think in bot-to-bot communication is a great sort of you know technology for payments using chatbots, right? Essentially, you can authenticate like one bot to do all your payment work, like when I said, and to kind of take care of all your financial things. And that bot can choose to interact with other bots and figure out if it's a secure transaction and things like that. This way, you don't really have to interact with like say 10 different bots of 10 different banks or financial institutions. You can just assign like the one bot to kind of do all this for you, and you know that it's a secure, trusted sort of bot. people have been, again, speaking outside of bot to bot, Facebook Messenger and Slack, they've been trying to, integrate payments because they see a lot of e-commerce companies adopting the bot paradigm. So you have Stripe and PayPal and all of them who actually have, integrations, and you can actually use Stripe and PayPal through Facebook Messenger to make transactions. So once those guys have their own bots that, kind of authenticate transactions, I think that will be a real game changer. Okay. Cool. Okay, Parth has a question saying, what if I don't want to keep it online and want it on my offline server? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Parth. I think the point of a chatbot is for it to kind of be online like all the time. I mean, you can always, I think, choose to not have it online if you want, but I'm not sure what quite you meant by that.
So just to add to that point, Sohan, is that so there's a thought that we had while building InterBot and still there, which is having the option to suspend your bot on the channel, which is once your bot is online and once you make it available on the bot directory, you may want to pull it down for some maintenance or changing the code or whatever things you need to do, upgrading the bot and whatsoever. So there is a thought of having a suspend functionality where taking it offline for a while and then putting it back on. And we know this. We haven't gone through with it because there's a lot of impacts to bots that are already using your bot, composite bots that are using your component. So that's why we haven't put it. So yeah, again, putting it off, keeping it offline doesn't make sense at the moment. But yeah, suspension is something that we thought of. But I think that's just an ongoing thought. I just thought I'll add it so that you guys can think about it.
Yep. Okay, so Gopinath has another question. He says, can this bot be deployed over AWS or any cloud? So Gopinath, essentially, when you use the Gupshup platform to create a bot, we do automated hosting for you, right? So when you hit like create a bot button, it's automatically hosted on AWS itself. If you want to have like your own hosting, you can do that as well. In that case, all you have to do is give us the callback URL of the bot, and then anytime like a user pings your bot, that callback URL will be hit, and you take care of the processing. So yeah. Okay. Question 2. Okay, so Parth has a clarification to his question about keeping it offline. So he says, if I want to have my own home automation server and I just want to keep my bot to talk with me and only my family members, is that possible? Absolutely, Parth. So there are like different ways you can do it. You can either choose to have a bot like on a sort of like a web widget that no one else knows the address to or something like that. It's absolutely possible to do something, or maybe you can build your own app, have our SDK installed, and have the chatbot there. There are different ways you can do it, but yeah, it is possible. Okay. Yeah. Vinay, question for you from Vince. Superbot is a combination of 5 bots, and Superbot, yeah, you got the question. Okay.
Right. So that's a good thought. To be honest, we've not thought of it too much on these lines, but I think that's something that needs to be thought through in terms of how the arrangement between the bot and also between the bot developer. Per se, from the channel right now, it's more from exploring the possibilities of the bots being chained and creating the superbot as opposed to thinking around the compensation and the monetary aspects of the superbot. But maybe we can get back to you regarding this with a more concrete answer. But yeah, that's a good thought. I mean, you can take this as a question and maybe have a discussion offline.
Yeah, Vince, just to add to that, I think we can look for analogies in our current tech ecosystem, right? There are a lot of tools that use like open source and free to use tools, but you still pay for those tools, right? Even though they're using free to use tools, and similarly, there are a lot of free APIs used by services that charge their user, and vice versa as well. So I think it works both ways. If a bot developer wants to say, here's my chatbot, other people can use it regardless of whether they're making money or not, they can go for it. Or someone says, here's my chatbot, you can use it up to like a certain level, beyond which I'll start charging your users, something like that, right? Similar to what Google Maps does, where you can use it up to a certain level. After that, you'll have to start getting paid, and plus they have like API limits and things like that. So I think it'll work very analogous to the how APIs came about and how like an ecosystem, the entire web and app ecosystem started using APIs, and that's where it'll probably go. It's just that I think it's a huge improvement over APIs in itself. Okay, yeah, thanks Vince for those words. Okay, so Sai Prasad has a question. We'll maybe take like 2 more questions after this. Sai Prasad says, can a bot be custom made for a client and sold as a product? Who will hold the IP to it? And is there any limitations to the queries a bot can do every hour, just like APIs, and any pricing? Okay, so there are like 4 questions there, Sai. Let me try and answer. So if you have the bot making expertise, then yes, absolutely, you can create one on. You can use our platform. Our platform also works on a similar model where you get 100,000 API calls free, post which you will be charged, for the infrastructure. It's an infrastructure play here. And as for who will hold the IP to it, if it's your client's idea, and if you're working on a services sort of model, then your client would hold the IP to it. Alternately, if you have a client, or if one of you all also wants to build a bot, Gupshup has a solutioning team that can actually build chatbots for you. The second 2 parts of the question: are there any limitations to the queries a bot can do every hour, just like APIs? Not at all, sir. You can have as many queries as you want. Like I said, you will be charged per API call beyond 100,000 API calls. So that's the pricing. We usually work out custom pricing for larger clients, but roughly that would be about $1 per 1,000 API calls. So I hope that answered all of your questions. Okay, then I think that's about it. Yeah, so let me just quickly take you through what the slide right now. So we host a lot of webinars. We host a webinar every week. Next Tuesday, we are hosting a webinar with PubNub. And actually, Parth, you should listen to this webinar, because we're going to talk about how to build a chatbot that is a home automation agent. Right? You can use it. So basically, we'll be talking a little bit about IoT, about like a data service network like PubNub, and a chatbot. So it's definitely going to be interesting, a lot of demos and stuff like that. If you have any queries, please feel free to write to us at developer@gupshup.io. We we make sure we reply to all the queries. If you like the webinar, if you have any suggestions, please tweet to us at twitter.com/gupshup. And also, we will be sending a recording of this webinar to everyone who signed up. So you will be getting a recording, so don't worry about it. And yeah, okay. So Vince will leave us with the comment. So he says, maybe payment by API calls with InterBot, charging and distributing payments and getting a cut percentage for the service. Yes, makes a lot of sense, Vince. Hopefully that's what we'll see. And hopefully some of you all will build chatbots that we can see on InterBot. Right. So if you have any questions, please write to us on the email ID. But thanks so much for attending from both Vinay and myself. I know it's late for some of you all, but thanks a lot for attending, and see you at our next webinar. Bye.
Bye-bye.